We're gonna call this meeting to order. We're gonna do the flag salute first. Would anybody like to, salute the flag? Anybody like to recite pledge allegiance? Anybody?
I'll go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, call to order. Roll call of council members. Victoria Maggie, President present.
Like Gun Vice President, President.
So are we going to Secretary Treasurer?
Okay, old business, you have the minutes on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last month our meeting was held on the 18th. It started at 6:02 and it ended at 7:11 p.m. Our presenters were Jim Richards, CHP Commander of the Antelope Valley. He reported on staffing and increases in enforcement. He also informed the public to rely only on official information. Jose Sendero, the director of the Association of Rural County Councils, highlighted illegal dumping, limited resources regarding illegal dumping, and the need for proactive action instead of reactive action to protect rural communities. LASD resident Deputy Burrow, he addressed illegal dumping, vacant home issues, and homelessness. He also encouraged residents to report empty houses and general concerns to him. I Garcia, field representative for Assemblymember Juan Carrillo, provided updates on two bills advancing to the Assembly floor. The first bill was for transparency regarding sexually violent predators, and the other one was for better illegal dumping enforcement. Charles Boswick from LA County Supervisor Catherine's office, Barger's office, discussed major concerns like fires, dumping, and homelessness. Josephine Gutierrez, from LA County Public Works provided updates on recent ongoing road studies and the progress on speed bump installations. And Megan Robbins, Lake Manager, discussed upcoming programs and events for those teams and kids. During activities and announcements, we heard from Sean Hope, Mary Hannah, and Megan Robbins. President Victoria Mackey concluded the meeting and announced the next meeting date.
Okay, for the minutes, aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we're gonna go straight into our guest presenters because we have a little list of people who come in. Our resident deputy, he probably will come in later. It's more likely in the field doing something. It's been a busy day with everything that's going on. As y'all seen, what's a lot of stuff is going on. So if he can make it and Captain Richards can make it, they'll be here. But if not, going forward. Okay, so first we wanted to start with Kwincy Little from Waste Management.
Hi everybody. Hi. My name is Kwincy Little. I am the local recycling representative with WM Waste Management. A little bit about me. I have grown up here my entire life. I actually used to live in Pear Blossom growing up here. I live in Lancaster now, so I'm very local to the area. So Victoria invited me out because I know that a lot of residents have questions as far as things that they get, as far as why things are the way that they are. So that's really why that I'm here. A couple things that I want to go over first is the amenities that you may be unaware of that you do get with your services. So you do have a dumpster. So one of the larger dumpsters you'd see at like a commercial business. You do get 5 bulky item pickups a year. That's up to 5 items per pickup. So that could be couches, fridges, mattresses, at no charge. So 25, I think if I do the math correctly, that's 25 items per year to dispose of at no charge. If you do have dumpster service as well, you are eligible to get a 1.5 yard recycle dumpster for free, no charge. So if you did want that recycle service and you have a dumpster, you can talk to me and I can definitely set that up for you charge. We do have a senior discount for if you have cart service. So not the dumpster service, but if you have a 96-gallon cart, we do offer a 10% senior discount for that. I can help you with that as well. We do household hazardous waste events at our landfill every month, first and third Saturday, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So you can bring paint, batteries, TVs, completely free of charge. You don't even have to get out of your vehicle. Trying to think if I've missed anything of the voucher program. So you do get 2 physical half-ton vouchers as well if you do live in the unincorporated areas. You would pick those up from Catherine Barger's office in Lancaster on 10th Street West. I think that might be all of the amenities. If something comes up as I'm up here, I'll definitely share. Yeah, does anybody have any questions for me? And don't be shy, please don't be shy.
Quincy, you were mentioning about the 1.5 yard recycling dumpster.
Yeah.
What type of service do you have to be able to get that?
So it'll be just, you have to have the trash dumpster, so a 3 yard, 1.5,
Okay.
even a 1.5 yard dumpster.
Okay, so the regular 96-gallon can.
Not for
doesn't
those,
apply to that?
unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, we have more of like a franchise agreement for the commercial dumpsters, so we have a little bit more leeway,
Yeah.
with those, but yeah, not for the cart service, unfortunately, because it's not mandatory,
Sure.
in the area, so there's no route for it.
I thought that was gonna become mandatory as of January 26th.
So we're waiting, it is mandatory. I know that we're waiting on the county right now to put it into play as far as an agreement and putting it out to the Lake LA residents.
Yeah.
So we're ready to do that when they are, we're kind of waiting on that.
Cause I remember reading something back in 25 that they were gonna be bringing out the individual cans just like they have.
Yeah, so we did, when I first started, they went through a draft EIR, they went through all the proper testing, and I wanna say something had passed against it, and then there was an extension, and then the fires happened back in January last year, so that's kind of the last that I heard about it. I know Chuck has probably more information about that, but when I talked to him last, he said that 2029 was kind of their deadline and they might meet that. So that's, yes.
Yeah, you're talking about basically the franchise.
Yes, you will know
agreement.
way more,
Yes,
Josie will
that,
way more.
right now, we're still waiting, the county or our department is finalizing the EIR for that franchise residential, agreement. And we're targeting to go to the board sometime this summer. Unfortunately, I don't have the date yet, but sometime this summer I'll go to the board for adoption of the EIR. And then once that's adopted, then we go out and send the request for proposals to different waste holders and then evaluate. So that's why, Charles had mentioned, we're probably looking at maybe late 2028, early 2029 before the actual start of service. Because like I said, we have to send out the RFPs, review the proposals, and then give whoever the waste holder is time to basically get their equipment. Obviously, waste management already has them, but there might be others, depending on who wins the low bid price.
Right.
So that's where
So when
we're
they
at.
do finally ever implement with the recycled can and the,
Yes, that
yard
would
ones,
have,
is that gonna be an additional charge to the owner? Because
yes.
if you're gonna charge people to give you the recyclables, people are gonna kinda fall
Yeah,
against that.
it's, there's gonna be, the way it's proposed right now, you basically have, I'm just talking about like the trash cards. I don't have details about the dumpsters yet, but basically, there'll be one for, trash, and then there'll be one for recyclables, and then there'll be one for organics, which is the main, what's the driving force right now, it's because of the approval of the SB 1383.
Right, that's
We're
what,
required to
what all
basically
food waste and
go on.
everything.
Yeah.
But I used to have a lot of issue we have with people revolting and throwing all the trash in the dump in the desert now.
Correct.
You go start throwing more charges to them for recycling fees and all that with recycle can? I don't see it working out here in this area. I mean, they need to have to pay for the trash service, just the trash service as it is, now you're gonna start charging for recycle cans.
To that, just if hypothetically, because we would have to obviously present and go to bid, like Josie said, so if we presented something that was similar to, I know that the biggest thing is why don't we get the same things that the cities get? If we presented something that was similar to that, most likely rates would be set.
Yeah.
So there wouldn't be like, you'd have to pay for trash, recycle, or organic, it would be
Correct.
included all in one rate
Yeah.
for the most part.
You know,
So just
understandably, we're
speaking to
further
us.
out, so I mean, the fuel charges, that type of thing, that makes sense.
And, right, and for just speaking to our city contracts, they don't have fuel charges.
Okay,
So that could be something that maybe goes into this agreement, I'm not sure.
yeah,
But just speaking to like what that would look like as far as what WM would present, that's what I think would
okay.
look like, yeah.
Yeah, the only reason I bring it up is like I said, you see our desert now,
Of
people
course,
don't wanna
no,
pay
I
for regular trash.
Totally
And so if they're
understand,
gonna start charging for the recycle can and, the yard waste can,
yeah,
it's gonna be a heavy revolt of most of the town out here. Especially if
absolutely,
you charge for recycle and then Waste Management makes money on the recycles, you know?
yeah,
I would
no,
think that
for
should be
sure.
a free service, at least that's, I would think would encourage more people to
And
do their part.
that's how it is for our other areas,
Right.
it's for the city, just so you get, an idea, they pay, I think, Palmdale and Lancaster are fairly different, like in change
Mhm.
as far as pricing, and
Yeah.
it's around $41 for the standard service, for the trash, recycle, and organic can. And then you get two recycle, up to two recycle for free, two organic for free, the third one, there's a charge, so it really promotes people doing the right thing and
Correct.
sorting properly.
Right.
And then you get, the amenities that come with that, so like the landfill vouchers or e-vouchers, so they're automatically attached to your account. You still get your bulky item pickups, senior discount, so definitely, those are all things that I'm sure we would think about if, we present an agreement.
Okay. Thank you much,
Yeah,
I
of course.
appreciate that.
No problem. Anybody have any other questions?
I live in West Covina, and you can have up to 3 trash cans, so you can have 9 trash cans, but they still gonna charge you for 3.
So depending on the area, every agreement is different.
And it's the same company.
So even if it's the same company, the agreement will be different. So it's negotiated with the
Yeah.
city, so that's why the agreement would be different for the area. So it depends on what's negotiated at the time.
So cans don't never stand there, people walk down the street and dump the trash can over and get the cans out.
Yeah, I mean, in the cities, we deal with homeless people
Bottles,
stealing them
yeah.
all the time. It's kind of something that we just deal with out here. If that's the case, we'll just, give you a new one, replace it. But yeah, it's a common issue.
They put labels on it telling you don't take it out, but people still take it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
They
know.
take cardboard out to recycle themselves. I see it all.
Oh, I know, I have people that do that on my street, they go through my recyclables and things
Yeah.
like that, so, yeah, I understand.
And my house is $110, for 2 months.
Yeah, so the billing's different, yeah, so Palmdale, like, just for example, Palmdale is on like a resident, or a quarterly billing cycle, so they're billed every 3 months. Lancaster is billed on their property taxes, so they pay once a year on their property tax bill. And so it just depends on the area and the agreement. Any other questions? I do have cards as well, if anybody would like a direct contact to WM instead of having to deal with the customer service line. I know how that can go, being out in the unincorporated areas, so I'm happy to provide my contacts to you guys. I'll leave a stack up here.
Thank you.
Alright, one other thing. Can you cancel your service and use your neighbor's trash can?
Right now, if you live in Lake LA, I mean, it's an open market. You can, if you have an agreement with your neighbor, then you can do whatever.
And split the bill with them?
That's up to you.
I would like to thank Diane Love. She is the Secretary of the Democratic Party. I thank you for coming out and supporting the Lake Los Angeles County Council. All right. Next we have Edgar De La Torre from the Los Angeles County Department of Regional Planning.
Make the Conservation Natural Resources Element Project. Supervisor Tweet was here as well, to help answer any questions. Mainly the project is a Conservation Natural Resources Element, but specifically want to focus on what the, one of the components of the project. So before I get started, so I want to thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to be here today.
You are good.
So project scope, what the overall project I mentioned, I'll refer to it as CNR, but it's a Conservation Natural Resources Element. You may ask, what is that specifically? That's one of the general plan elements for the county. So it guides how we protect our natural resources in the county, whether that's bioresources, open space, mineral resources, scenic resources, just to name a few. So what initiated this project was, there's two legislative bills, SB 1425 and AB 1889. These bills are requiring the jurisdictions to look at equitable access to open space, rewilding, climate resilience, biodiversity, and the impact of human activity on our wildlife and wildlife corridors and things like that. So among those things, a lot of our resources are protected through the policies in our general plan, right? So reason why we started with the Conservation Natural Resources Element. Given that as part of the open space network in the county, parks is a big part of that network, right? So a component of the project also incorporates some updates to the policies in the Parks and Rec element. So that's another element of the general plan, mainly focused on our park and recreational services. So there's updates to the policies there, and then two other main components are implementing ordinances. So I'll explain a little bit of the difference, but two other ordinances. One being the Hillside Management Area Ordinance, which manages development in hillsides. This ordinance itself, how it was updated, it's mainly the same ordinance. It was more of a restructure to get rid of. It was an appendix to the guidelines that provided a bunch of design guidelines that developers could choose from, but it was a huge list. So what we did is consolidated those, the ones that mainly met the purpose of the ordinance, and converted those into development standards, so that way the ordinance itself is implemented consistently and more effectively throughout the county. So that was a lot more of a restructure of the ordinance. A lot of the development standards that are getting proposed to be moved over were already part of the design guidelines. It just kind of reshifted the language so it became a development standard, more enforceable.
What is the ordinance that you're talking about?
That's the Hillside Management Area ordinance. So that's one of the ordinances that's part of the project. And then the second one, the main one we want to talk about today, is the Significant Ecological Area ordinance. So I'll refer to it as SEA. That's the one we'll have more of the focus on today. But that's one of the biggest implementing ordinances of our Conservation Natural Resources element, given that that's what implemented the regulations to protect our bioresources throughout the county. So with that, I'll move on to the third slide, which is what is the significant ecological areas. So these areas are areas throughout the county with irreplaceable bioresources that have the ability to sustain themselves in the future, to provide all our bioresources, our wildlife corridors, our connectivity features for wildlife and things like that. So these areas are not protected open space. It's not, these areas it's just a zoning overlay. So the SEA designation is a zoning overlay that adds regulations for developments in those areas, so that we find a balance between developing and also protecting our bioresources throughout the county. So it's a zoning overlay. That really want to stress that out. It's not a open space protection area. So it's not converting the land from regular land to develop to protect the land. It's just an overlay, so development is still allowed. It's just additional regulations that are added to kind of find that balance between our development and our bioresources. Next slide, so the SCA program, the Significant Ecological Area Program, it's made up of two components. You'll see it on the slide here with the two yellow boxes. So the first one being part of our general plan, which is the bioresources, reason why we're updating the conservation natural resources element. That's where you'll find the actual policies and goals to protect our bioresources throughout the county. And you'll also find that's where we have the map that has the boundaries for the policy map that shows the boundaries for the SCAs throughout the county. This program is existing, so we already have existing SCAs throughout the county. This is a revision of that. So that's the main component, right? What sets the goals, the policies, and then the boundaries that are part of this protection. And then the other component of the program is it's in our zoning code, which is the actual SCA ordinance. That's where you'll find the regulations that are part of the zoning code or zoning code that implements it through when you're submitting for plans like that. That's where you find the guidelines, development standards that are applicable to meet the goals in our general plan. So it's the implementing component of that portion. So as you can see, the SCA program has the general plan portion and then the zoning code portion, which is what's actual regulations. Next slide. Some background. I mentioned earlier, it's an existing program. So there's some history to this program. It dates back to 1976 when the county conducted the first study. During this period of time, we evaluated ecosystem functions and biodiversity of the SCAs to see how they can be maintained at a healthy level. The first SCA study was completed in 1976, and then subsequently we did have another one in 2000. So about 15-year period, or more than 15-year period, right? From one study to the other. In 2000, we consolidated the SCAs into more larger areas to increase the sustainability of these areas. And it's providing linkages and corridors to promoting species movement throughout the county. That's the map that you'll see on the slide here. So all those green areas that you see, the brighter green are the ones that are in the unincorporated area. The more lime green ones are incorporated areas. And then you'll see our coastal resources more towards the south region of it. So that's the story behind it, right? It started from 1976. We've had another one in 2000, our second study. Now we're at the third study, 25 years later, that we're now mainly focusing on wildlife connectivity, biodiversity, and protection of our resources. So that what triggered this study was the two legislative bills that I mentioned, to look at how we could continue to maintain these bioresources in the county. So that's the background on what the program is and the history behind it. Now, next slide, we're going to, what are the proposed boundaries? That's kind of the main question that we're working on here in the part of the project, right? So what to expect? So the 2025 study is what helps us inform what boundaries we want to propose to expand on. So the study looked at the different resources throughout the county, both at desktop level, field visits, existing research and things like that. So it was not just one look at the areas, but more robust, looking at the region. It wasn't parcel specific, it was regional based. So it's looking at just in the region what's available, what resources are in the area, and what habitat they are in the area that are suitable for different species that either are protected or sensitive, and we need to continue to maintain those habitats as much as possible to protect our bioresources. The proposed SCAs, the expansion are both in the incorporated area and in incorporated area. So the difference is our ordinance is only applicable obviously in the unincorporated area. So you'll see that's where we're mainly going to talk about. But the incorporated area, you'll see some expansions in those areas as well. And that's mainly, they're more informational, but it's mainly to show that our bioresources don't stop at the jurisdictional line. Obviously, bioresources expand throughout the region, right? So there's also bioresources that go beyond the county jurisdiction into the incorporated cities. But those are informational. As part of the expansions, included larger blocks of habitat, mainly in the national forest. So you'll see a big block of that area being added, given the rich amount of biodiversity in the area. So As part of this proposal, right now the proposal is to add the entire national forest, and then given like I mentioned, the biodiversity, the water set functions, and then all the natural core habitat in the area. So that's a big block of the addition, as well as different areas throughout the county, some in the community around here. We also considered looking at how the habitats are being impacted, how the existing SCAs were doing over the years, and if there were kind of reasons to expand beyond what's currently existing. So what kind of led to that decision? What gets expanded? What gets revised? There's a criteria that has to be met to be ordered to either propose an expansion of the area. The criteria, there's a total of 6. Well, for this time there's 7, but these criteria have been existing since the first 1976 study. The first six are the criteria that were used throughout. So there's consistency as to how these are being evaluated, what's being used. So all those 6 criteria are used again this time, plus 1 additional, mainly to address the function of habitat connectivity between the existing SCAs and what other resources we have throughout the county. So as you can see, the criteria has been used from the beginning till now, even under the study, and then the proposal to expand the boundaries has been using the same criteria. So as long as one of these criteria is met, then that's how it was evaluated to be able to say this area should be expanded, or proposing to expand it, given the bioresources in the area. So there's some consistency over the past 50 years just in how this is being implemented, how the SCAs are being evaluated, and where our proposal is at this time. Next slide, you'll see a screenshot of the interactive map. That's the map that we put together to show the different areas that are being proposed. There's a lot of functionality to this. You could put in your parcel on there, and it narrows it down to where your property is at, and it'll tell you if you're in any of the proposed areas, in the existing area that's an SCA already. And on the right side, when you kind of narrow down to your area, it'll give you some background as to the justification that was used to why that area is being proposed to be expanded as an SCA. And then on the left, you'll see an opportunity to make comment whether you agree, you have some information that may be useful for us to kind of rethink everything and see if there's any adjustments based on that. So we get to compare what the study informed us, plus what information you guys may have that could be useful for us as we continue to revisit this proposal. So like I mentioned, it's a proposal right now. It's based on the results of that study. So all the green areas that you'll see on the map are the areas that are proposed to be expanded. All the yellow that you find on the map is the existing SCAs. So you could toggle through there, you could change the layers, you could kind of mess with it a little bit to kind of see what's being impacted. You could toggle on like the larger forest area or the federal lands that are being proposed also to be protected, to kind of see the difference in the proposed expansion. So if you have any questions on that, you could also if you have any issues with trying to manage the map or have us make comments, you could also just contact us and we'll walk you through it. So with that gives you kind of background as to what we're at. We're proposing some expansions of the SCAs. Now I want to go through some scenarios, right? Now that you know that we're proposing, you might be in an area that's being proposed for an expansion of the SCA. What does it mean for you, right? Like I mentioned, it's not changing what you can do to your property. It's a zoning overlay, so it has just some regulations that would be implemented if there's additional development. So some of the scenarios we want to go through. We'll start first with if you have no plans to do anything on your property, no plans to either develop it, it's vacant currently, or if you already have a development, no plans to expand it at the time. So I'll start first with a vacant parcel with no plans to develop. If you're not planning to do anything at the time or in the future, then there's no impact. If the vegetation that's there could stay, nothing, you don't have to do anything retroactively, nothing happens. The ordinance is not applied retroactively. It will only be effective once it gets adopted by the board of supervisors. So having to go through a hearing process. But on the vacant parcel, everything stays the same, nothing changes. The things that would trigger maybe a SCA review could be vegetation removal that's not associated with required either defensible space or required brush clearance. Grading undisturbed areas with native vegetation, exploratory wells or temporary uses that or farming, mulch or green waste sites, things that may change the use of a vacant property into something else, right? So those things will obviously trigger some development, some SCA review. Now in terms of if you already have a developed property, but have no plans to expand it, in that sense, the ordinance, like I mentioned, doesn't apply retroactively. You could continue to do your general maintenance of your property, anything that you do now, like annual defensible space clearance, that may be required of the fire department. That doesn't require SCA review. Any weed abatement that's required by the Ag Commissioner's office, things like that are requirements. You would not have to get an additional file review for that. Regular maintenance of driveways, private roadways. If your roadway gets annually, you have to kind of maintain your roads. If it gets getting washed out, things like that. Those maintenance activities that are routine would not require a permit. Maintaining trees, as long as you stay within the parameters of the 2-inch width of a trunk, those things are also exempt. Wouldn't require SCA review. If there's trees that are not native, that are not part of the protected list, those get removed without having to require any additional review. And any replacement of like for like, fencing or anything, any structures or improvements on your property that are existing, you may need to replace them given that are damaged or something happens. Those things are also exempt. So routine maintenance of your property, things like that would be exempt. And then I'll get to shortly as to what would trigger some SCA reviews with this designation. The next slide shows, like I mentioned a lot, the defensible space, brush clearance is just an example of these areas that may be required. The brush clearance, vegetation removal is only exempt if obviously it's required by fire department or Ag Commissioner or Weights and Measures office. So those requirements would be exempt. Those are this gives you just an example of those defensible space areas that may be exempt if the requirement if you have that requirement for your property. Now going into the next slide, vacant parcels with new construction, right? So if you have a vacant parcel and you want to construct something, there's two permitting pathways, right? The ways that this will start, this is kind of where the ordinance impacts you, right? You have a vacant parcel, you want to develop it. In this instance, what would happen, you'll start with a pre-application counseling. What you would do is you will have to hire a biologist to do a survey of your property, and then you have that discussion with our department to go through what's there, with your preliminary design of what you want to develop, and then we work with you to see if there's ways to minimize the impacts based on the resources on the property. And if you're able to stay within the footprint and avoid some of these impacts, then you can stay under the ministerial route. There's some thresholds that you would have to meet to be able to stay under that ministerial route, which is a site plan doesn't require a public hearing, and it's a lower cost permit. If you go beyond that, if you do a larger scale development or there's a lot of impacts, then that's when it could trigger the SCA review. That process is lengthier, it does require a public hearing, and it is a higher cost. So there's two permitting routes. It depends on meeting the development standards of the ordinance and then the parameters of your project overall to see if you can stay within either the ministerial route or the discretionary, which requires a public hearing. For existing lots that have already development on it, there's exemptions for additions and modifications to some extent. You would have to stay under the 15,000 square foot building site area, which I'll explain what counts towards that on the next slide. But you would have to stay under the 15,000 as well as not encroaching to less than 10% of the drip line of 4 or less SCA protected trees. So there's protected trees on your property. As long as you don't encroach into more than 10% of 4 of those trees and you stay within that building site area, no additional bio review is required. That's exempt. If you go beyond that, then then you could trigger the SCA review, and then that you would have the same thing in 2 permitting routes. It depends on the scale of your development or what you're going to do. It could either be the ministerial route or it could be the SACP. So those are the options that could trigger the SCA review if this gets adopted for your property. What counts as building site area? That'll be on your next slide. This kind of gives you, it's a more simple drawing, but it will show you what would count towards that building site area, the 15,000 square feet that I mentioned. Building pad, your grading, any slopes of your grading structures, decks, patios, paved or impervious surfaces, ornamental landscape. So adding grass or removing natural vegetation that considers to be ornamental landscape, that will count towards your ESA. So that's why you think about 15,000, your house might be 15,000, but it counts for anything that's being disturbed, the footprint of the area that's being disturbed. There is some exceptions to things that don't count towards that. A 20-foot by 300-foot portion of your driveway wouldn't count towards that. If there's a requirement for a turnaround area, that also wouldn't count towards the BSA. Any slopes that are being graded as part of that driveway, any fuel modification areas, like the mention with the vegetation. Yes?
I'm sorry, alright, are there any more packets for me or my neighbors that I can distribute?
Is there any left over there?
Sorry,
I think I might have some more.
We can address that then.
Yeah, I think I have some argument that we want to show you.
It's extra. Thank you.
And then non-structural animal keeping areas that don't require any grading, those things, corral, things like that don't require any grading, those things will also be, not count towards that BSA. So it gives you an idea of what counts towards those 15,000, and what doesn't, those few exemptions. So if SEA review is triggered and you do have to comply, there's development standards that will be applicable to your project. Some of the examples are listed on that next slide, which is open design fencing. So kind of wall-like permeable fencing that's not solid, right, to allow wildlife movement in the area, avoiding invasive plants in your landscape, non-reflective windows, and then outdoor lighting that's shielded, face downward, things like that are kind of more simple, but those would be some of the examples of development standards that will be applicable to your project. And then some temporary uses that are exempt, temporary filming, it's an activity that's not development type. So these activities are temporary, those things would be exempt under the SEA process. So that completes my presentation, gives you a round of what the ordinance is. I know we don't capture all the scenarios, but it gives you a little background as to what scenarios might trigger your SEA review if the ordinance is applicable to your property under the proposal right now.
One thing I'd like to add to the end of that presentation is that mapping feature is really important. In Lake Los Angeles, a lot of the areas that were proposed for extensions really are connections of the buttes. So you know Lake Los Angeles loves the buttes. There are a lot of parcels that are actually privately owned that cover the buttes. So a lot of those areas have been extended to help protect the buttes themselves. But a large part of Lake Los Angeles itself, of the community of Lake Los Angeles, is not in a proposed area, or there are portions kind of on the exterior rim of the community that are already in and existing. So those regulations, that mapping was adopted back in 2015. But when you take a look at the map, focus on those green areas, and you'll see that it's primarily on the periphery again.
It's roughly around Avenue N, and it goes north to M8, roughly in that area, Avenue N.
Right.
Goes out towards 195th, almost to 210th in certain areas also on the northeast corner.
Right.
Yeah, that's a whole sub-area of DC that you're discussing right there.
Correct.
And all that area, but so much of that's already been invaded and completely just pulverized with the new people coming out here. So when you guys are talking all these type of things here, you know, I'm kind of putting the cart before the horse in a lot of these areas, considering what's already been done to these old areas that you have marked here in this green area, in this small section here. So I don't know when you're doing your evaluations or whatever, or if any of this kind of stuff that's already been done out here, if that's applying to what you're talking about here, but, you know, I mean, they've got just acres and acres and acres of that land out there, and then they're coming in with all that mulch and all that, construction debris they're putting out there. You know, so when you're talking about preserving all these natural things out here, in our areas do have all the different types of scrubs out the way and all that type of thing. So I mean, you know, as I'm hearing you talking about this stuff, you're also kind of evading the whole cost of these permits that you're requiring. I'm under the understanding that they be as high as $25,000, depending on what people are doing and whatnot. So I mean, you know, I see quite a few different little kind of concerning type of things with this stuff, where you're putting it in here, you've got the existing areas in orange and everything already here, you know, and then you're adding to these other areas, but the amount of damage that's already been done there, I'm not sure exactly what you're actually trying to accomplish here. Because of the existing damage that's happened just over the last 6-7 years especially, so much damage has been done out there in all that desert, so, you know, maybe if you could fill us in on more of what your guys' intentions are out here, because I don't see how this applies to anything that you're trying to preserve when you see how much has already been destroyed.
No, I mean, we understand, I mean, there's a lot of illegal activity, right, that happens, and the study, like I mentioned, it's not, parcel specific, it's regional based, right? So there's habitat for different species, whether that's vegetation, wildlife, things like that, so we looked at it regionally, and that's how meeting the criteria for, being proposed. So we understand some of that feedback is kind of what we wanna get to, as we continue to revise this, look and evaluate the proposal. Feedback like that if there is a lot of disturbance already, we need to look further, more detail into that portion. That's the feedback we're asking for at the moment. I understand your concerns, it definitely adds more cost, right, for the permitting process, depending, especially if you go to CUP route, it's a lengthier process and more cost.
Yeah, because on one side, you're saying that you're not controlling anyone's ability to do what they want on their land, but at the same time, you are saying that. You're implying that there's many things you're not allowed to do, and your 15,000 square foot, which is equivalent to a third of an acre, and if you've got a 20-acre parcel there, you're only still allowing a third of an acre of building on that, at a $25,000 permit fee, okay? And so, I mean, it's just, Acton, I think, is the area that's really having a big issue, because they actually do more things the proper way as far as that type of stuff is going. Out here, they just willy-nilly just do whatever they want, and no one seems to control a single thing they do, so I mean, it really doesn't apply to us out here like LA as far as you guys enforcing anything, because nothing's enforced out here, as you can tell. You know, so I don't know where that would go with you guys for enforcing the permits for the people to do what they're doing. It'd be nice, this one little area, I actually think would be great for you to actually enforce it and make these people pay the fees to clean up what they've done out here, you know, because it's devastating. But I don't see that you're, the way you're kind of explaining all this stuff, it's not seeming to really match with everything in the background, what you're talking about, with all the different fees and all that type of thing.
But I mean, with that, I think there's a lot of concerns, and I think, as part of that, like I mentioned, part of the process right now, this is draft, right? So the 15,000, we are getting a lot of comments on that, and that's, if there's suggestions as to what would be more reasonable, right? We wanna find a balance that works for the community.
Yeah.
So hearing what's reasonable, what works for you guys, that kind of feedback would help us moving forward. Like I mentioned, this whole process does have to go through a public hearing process. We're not even there yet, we don't have anything scheduled, there's no hearing date scheduled, so, and I understand some communities might be more impacted than others. It definitely requires additional review. One thing to keep in mind when you want to develop some of these areas, obviously there's other permits before you get to the SCA stuff. So when we're going through this process, it's getting that feedback, and that way we could, as we continue to evaluate this and refine it, we could kind of look into those aspects. But I think looking into the areas that are being already legally disturbed, things like that. Obviously, like I mentioned, the mulch stuff, right? That will require like a CUP requirement, and those things, or it wouldn't be easily allowed, even though I mean it's illegally being done now.
Correct.
So definitely just adds another layer of regulations that would have to be met.
You know, and in that thing here, I mean, here's your drafts right here, it's 54 pages long, right there, it's just a draft he's done right now. You know, so I'm curious to see when you actually get finals on this, how big it's gonna be, and for folks to be able to read it and understand it, it's pretty expensive, there are a lot of it kind of repeats itself over and over, you know, I've learned it here. But when you're talking about this particular type of things, where these areas that you're wanting to protect and everything, with so much of that illegal dumping out there, especially with that large area way past Avenue J and 240, you talk about your, the natural type of little creeks and rivers and everything going through there. I mean, how do you do anything with all that when so much damage has been done with all that even also? You know, I mean, I guess, I'm not sure exactly how I wanna ask it, but I mean, it's almost as if there's so many different entities trying to imply so many different things, but no nobody's doing anything about fixing the issue that's actually there. You're gonna force new issues in many, many ways, and a whole ton of money, and every time we turn around, we're hearing about more money, more money, more money. You know, I mean, to the point where folks just can't afford to do a doggone thing, you know, but where's the money gonna come to fix all this stuff where you guys are gonna implement these new, proposed areas? How are we even gonna fix all that stuff to bring it back to the grades that you guys wanna bring it back to? Which I'm fully on board with, and I'm sure most of the town is. We would love to see our town back to a natural environment that it was before it was invaded and destroyed, you know? So I mean, as you're proposing all these types of things here, it'd be nice for you to propose what you're gonna do about possibly come up with a correction for what's already been damaged, you know? I mean, maybe those things could be in here in this draft. I mean, again, we're already at 54 pages, we are 60 pages, I believe, we can add another 50, might as well, right? If it's gonna do some actual good for us.
But yeah, definitely, so, I mean, in terms of all the illegal activity going out there, that's land use issues, definitely could take that feedback back to our zoning enforcement team.
Yeah.
That's assigned to this area and provide that feedback, see if there's resources that take a look into this more.
Yeah.
And I hear your concerns regarding that, it's something that.
I mean, it's so visible, this place is becoming a junkyard, I mean, more junkyards are piling up every day of the week out there with all the vehicles and everything else. These areas aren't zoned for that.
Yeah.
You know, so when you were talking about in here with all these zonings and everything in here, I mean, there's another thing. How do we enforce the zoning? When everybody's just allowing this kind of stuff to go on and on and on and on. Daily, those junkyards grow by 10, 12 cars. You know, and that's all environmental stuff. That's environmental impacts right there. So I mean, when you guys are talking about this stuff, I'd really love to see some real type of kind of issues really brought up with how are we gonna fix it? Cause this isn't zoned for that stuff. And it's not been zoned for that ever, but at the same time, no one seems to care about enforcing a single solitary thing out here when it comes to zoning laws. I don't know what the reason is, I kinda know, but I'll just leave my guesses to myself. But a lot of people are afraid to say about anything about it, they just allow this place to completely turn to a third world country. Looks like living hell out here.
No, I hear you.
You know?
Definitely something we'll take back to our enforcement team, that could take
Yeah,
that area.
you know, I mean, you guys come up with some real great proposals of people, I'm sure we can get this whole place full real quick. Cause it's more people than just myself and ones in here right now that are just fed up with this stuff, and then you're gonna implement more and more ordinances and everything else, while we can't fix the existing stuff that's going on now. You know, so when you wanna sit here and try to tell us you're gonna implement more of them, I'd sure like to see somebody who's willing to actually stand up and fix what's going on before we try to implement more.
And has the community taken advantage of, our, violation hotline? Cause that's really helpful for us to know, because you're in the community every single day, you're observing new things that happen, or repeats of things.
Daily.
So, yeah, we do encourage folks to send in, either via email, we can provide that information at the end of this meeting, or we can email it to you. But we have a hotline number, as well as an email option as well, so that you can, you know, if you happen to have photos, while you're driving by, or if, you know, it's an area of particular concern, we can be able to address that.
These areas are so large, Ronnie Millsap and Ray Charles will be able to tell you what they are, you know? It doesn't take, it's a blind person to see exactly what's been done to this town, you know? And it's progressively growing by the day. By the day. I mean, it's not a once a week type of thing we see today. Daily, you see massive things happening. And it's all in that little proposed areas that you all got right here, the sub-sea, the sea and all that.
I have a question. You talked about communities. Where's the list that you talk about to find out what populations are endangered, other than the Joshua trees? What plants, what else?
So if you, in that mapping feature, if you select like the area 3C, that's.
Some areas 3C, if you pull onto that map, you can pull into 3C and discuss the exact things out here. Which in our area is primarily Joshua
If you
trees.
click on that area, on this side, you'll see the criteria that was met, for.
That area is where you put your address in and find out
Correct.
if you're in certain areas. So it's
Yes.
not just out here, it's anywhere in Anvil Valley.
It's throughout the county.
It's actually throughout the
Yeah,
whole
throughout the county.
You can go Santa Monica, you can find
So
out.
there's
Santa
areas,
Monica.
all the green areas are proposed proposed expansions, the orange are, existing designation.
And can you verbally tell us what the hotline number is?
The four, there's a, that's over my head, yeah.
Question on the hotline, when someone calls, what's the turnaround to enforcement?
For enforcement?
Yes.
Usually, I mean, I used to be enforcement years ago, but, our turnaround time was trying to get out there within a week or two as much as we can, given the large area. I was out in the Little Rock area when I was assigned to the area. Usually, our team out here would try to get out there as soon as possible. Obviously, if there's a lot, you're seeing it consistently, the more complaints you're sharing with us, we could obviously try to get staff out here. I'm not in that unit, so I can't tell you exactly what the turnaround time is, but I know they try to get out there as soon as they can.
When you say get out there, are we talking like, let's say someone starts putting stuff on a parcel, you go out there and you take a picture and you write a report, or you go to the county, get the tractors, the people, and you remove the stuff?
So it's just doing an inspection, and we have to go through the process of an enforcement process. So that process does start with the first notice of violation. If there is a violation that's observed, from there, it's a 30-day period that they provide the property owners to try to comply. If that doesn't happen, we do a second inspection. If it's still ongoing, then there's another letter, another 30 days.
30 is more like it.
30 days, sorry. So it is a process that we have to follow. That's a legal process that we do have to follow in terms of the enforcement process. But it's not removing it. We don't have a right to go on someone's property and remove it. In terms of planning, we have to go through our enforcement process.
In your planning part, do you have a section for funding, enforcement? Because we found that's a similar problem out here for people cleaning out where washes go, that there's no enforcement. They came to a meeting similar to this and said, well, you guys need to report it. Whereas to us, it was, well, that's where the wash is. You know, it's almost a Google Earth. You could figure out exactly where it is. And in fact, a lot of this stuff is showing up on satellite, reporting. And, as he says, everyone sees it. You know, I've called on mulching. I know a lot of other people have as well. And, I don't know how you pick that stuff up once you've ended up doing that kind of job. I haven't seen that happen yet. So you're hitting people who are, really front line of, I don't ride my horse out of the desert anymore. It's a dangerous place to be now. And so I'm not sure, we all honor what you're doing. We just don't know exactly what you're doing.
Well, we agree.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it, it's a lot, especially a lot of illegal dumping that's been going on for years.
Yeah.
It is a big challenge, and I think we have a, Charles, correct me if I'm wrong, the illegal dumping task force is still operating, right? They always try to, that's all the agencies that try to work together. It is a large area to try to cover, right? So in terms of us for planning, like I mentioned, we have to go through our process, we have to send the staff out. We do our best to try to enforce it that way, and then if it doesn't get enforced, you have to go through the legal route, right, to try to get some compliance. So it does, our process does have to take some time, unfortunately, but that's, kind of how.
It's been a problem for years, but the last 5 to 6 years,
Yeah.
5 to 7 years, is
It's incredible.
exponential.
It's impossible for those people to deal with.
1,000% increase easily. I mean, you could get topography pictures of the desert out here 6 years ago. It's pretty much empty as compared to what it is now. And now when you look at the same thing on Google Earth or any of that kind of stuff, I mean, it obviously pixelates a lot of it, but you can still see quite a bit. And then just from ground level, the obvious difference is it's night and day what it was just in 2020. 2020 and 2026, it is a complete different world out here. And so we're thinking if it's not this much damage in 6 years, by the time you're done with all your type of things, what you guys are talking about, being under 12 years or so, this place, it's beyond repair. Cause it's almost beyond repair now. We go out on the weekend, once a month, Adam and I and many of the town here, we, do these rubbish brush type of things, go out and clean. And we don't get a tiny little area, maybe a little bit larger than this, and we fill in our dumpster and everything else, and it doesn't make a dent in what we try to do. You You know, we have a lot of concerned folks who are trying to do something, they're making an attempt, but it doesn't accomplish anything. And so we see all the other destruction that's going on as we're doing this, picking up these tires, picking up the mattress, picking up the furniture. You see all the rest of the destruction they're doing to all the environmental type of things, to the natural plants, the natural type of things there. And most of it's irreparable at this point. You know, so I mean, I know studies take a while, but my goodness, if it's gonna take another 12, 13 years, you might as well just pack it up and go study somewhere that hasn't been destroyed yet, cause we're gonna be beyond that point of fix. You know, we really are.
There's an assembly, member, I believe, who is proposing a bill at the state level to provide additional support for these matters. This was discussed and shared at another town council meeting. And certainly it's something that we're tracking to ensure that there can be additional support, because it is such a long-standing issue, in the Antelope Valley. So, we'll look that up, and provide you with that information so you can also track it, and if there's opportunity to speak to and, address your assembly member to get additional signatures for that bill, I think that'd be helpful.
And then just, I know, I mean, we have one of the enforcement portions of the county, right, as part of planning. But there's also our different agencies that have different purviews on how they also enforce, so, if I'm not wrong, the 211 number?
Yes.
211. So that goes to, spreads out to all the agencies. That would be your best bet, but we'll also, shortly when I get back to my, I'll get you the for our enforcement unit at planning. But the 211 will be, definitely, I'll probably take both, right, because that gets to all the agencies, and if any agency has purview, they can enforce something, that's the number to call and report anything. That way, everyone gets notified as soon as that gets, sent out. And then that one, I think if you use the app, it gives marks the coordinate of where that location is, so, it gives at least a general area where someone can go out to, not just for planning, but even public works or other agencies that have purview.
And what is the app you're referring to?
The 211 app, I think it's the 211, right?
The Works Act.
The Works app, yes, sorry.
With, the problem with the Works Act is if you're out in the desert, it'll say, this is not a supportable area.
So in that sense, yeah, maybe the calling in would be the best, call the 211 number.
You have to
trying
actually be on the road.
recall the sources of the resources within the enforcement.
But I think what we're saying is, as part of your planning, had it where you basically, you know, you have a T, this is what we need to be doing, this is how we're gonna make sure it happens. And it's, that's the part that's missing. You know, it's, how are you going to enforce whatever you're saying? And out here's like the Wild West, isn't it?
Okay.
We have ordinances all over, and code enforcement needs all over. And there's a lot of need for that, but there isn't any happening to fix it. It's just like, let's do all these studies and get it all together, tell them, make us charge for everything that's gonna happen, but nothing's fixed but what there is already there. And that's,
I think like that should have, of all the illegal activity going on, more enforcement needed. I think that's going on here, right, it's a continuing issue. Definitely something, I mean, it's a large area, I mean, I know this is your guys' community, right, you wanna have it, pristine, you wanna have it nice, so what you guys like. And it's given the large whole AV area, we try to do our best, but definitely I'll take this back to our enforcement team, to see if there's something they could do, to just help notify, especially in the areas that we're proposing for SCAs, and
Right.
that's a big portion of the areas that are having a lot of people come, people definitely share that.
Okay, and,
So I was hearing $25,000 for a permit. Is that an accurate number? And if so, what is the specific purpose?
It's 800-339-6993.
okay, so that will be on YouTube. When, you're gonna upload it, what, next week? It'll be uploaded next week on Joyce TV, this entire meeting and everything that's being said. Okay, with that being said, is it?
We have a more direct number, so we can certainly provide it, to the town council as well as to Joyce Media, so that information is readily available.
Okay.
And then one last closeout, comment, if I may. For the filing fees that you have there, I know it's a long laundry list of fees.
Yeah.
Very traditionally though, however, with regional planning, when you go through the permitting process, not going to
Understood.
necessarily be a collection of fees.
Sure.
And it's the option, you do choose between the ministerial route or a public hearing.
Correct, I understand how it is, the folks could see that, if they look this up and see it, it's just pretty amazing how many fees there are.
We have a lot of different land uses
Sure.
going on in the county. Yeah.
Sure. At the same time, when you see these kind of fees, you'd like to see, you know, where's all that money gonna go to, and fix the issues that are here. The reason we constantly keep complaining about these issues is because these issues were allowed to happen. No one's enforced this when it started, and it began in it began much before that, because major issues we have seriously began in 21. And people turned a blind eye and just let it keep happening, and kept excusing it for whatever reason they did. And now it's at the point where it is now, and so, the kind of money it's gonna take to fix this, if somebody even wants to get it fixed, it's gonna be phenomenal. And I'm curious where it's gonna come from. Is it gonna come out of our pockets again, when we didn't do anything with it? We've sat here, bitched and screamed and yelled for the last couple of years. We're getting no response, we're getting no action, we're getting nothing. But at the same time, it feels like when somebody decides they are gonna do it, we're all gonna be the ones paying for it, like we always do, you know? And we're at a point where we're fed up with all that kind of thing. We can't implement violence anymore.
Okay, so we're gonna move on, we got a long list of, but like I said, everything, it will be on Joyce Media. If you missed anything, you wanna go back and recap something, just look at YouTube, Joyce Media, and it'll be there. And I'd like to thank you, Debbie.
Just quickly, the number that I was gonna get back to you guys, so you guys wanna have it, so for enforcement is 213-974-6453. That's for our zoning enforcement team, and then you can also email zoningenforcement@planning.lacounty.gov.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Alright, thank you. At this time, we will bring Derek Winkel from Outreach. He's the Outreach Coordinator for the Canyons to the Desert Resource Conservation District. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. How's everyone tonight? My name is Derek Winkel. I work for the Canyons to the Desert Resource Conservation District. What that is a special district that focuses on, just like it says in the name, conservation of our resources here in California. There's all different types of resource conservation districts that have their own coverage areas all throughout California. And our coverage area is from, we're just starting to get annexed into the port of Santa Cruz, all the way out to Little Rock, up to Lake LA here, back across Roseman, kind of halfway between Roseman, because Tehachapi has their own resource conservation district that comes down south and covers the other half. And then all the way almost up to Bakersfield, and then back down to Santa Cruz. The conservation district is ran by a board of directors that are all volunteers. They're non-paid, and they all live in the coverage area of that specific RCD or Resource Conservation District. Since it is a volunteer position and it's required that they live in that specific area, it's emphasized that since they live in that area, they know what the issues are and they know what needs to be done, rather compared to if you just hire someone to do it. Not to speak bad about someone who's just doing their job, but maybe they're just there to collect a paycheck. So these are all people that know what's going on in this area and are working together to come up with solutions for the conservation of our resources. So, number one issue, especially being in the desert, as far as resources go, is water. And because of that, what we, in our specific district, the CDRCD, which stands, I think I already said it, the Canyons to Desert Resource Conservation District, we have a nursery here on the west side. Am I pointing in the right direction? Probably not. Yeah, the west side of Lancaster off of NY. And at that nursery, we specifically grow drought tolerant plants for our coverage area. The council asked me to come by today and actually talk a little bit about the types of plants that we grow there, show off a couple of them, and how they might make a difference compared to other places that sell plants, not bad mouthing them anyway, please don't. Yeah, I'm not talking bad about any big chain places or anyone, so please don't take it that way. Okay. One of the things that Victoria mentioned to me was when she picked up some plants from a specific place. They tend to die off pretty quick. Places like Lowe's, Home Depot, they have great selection, beautiful plants, great color. And I wish desert plants looked more like that all the time. The only issue with big places like that is they don't grow them there at the store. They buy outside of the area and have it shipped in. And most nurseries that grow those types of plants that are just vibrant colored, deep greens, they're in areas that you can't grow that.
Yeah, it's what was on down below from Santa Clara.
Yeah, perfect weather, great rich soil, perfect temperatures.
Right.
Just the most ideal environment you can to grow a plant. So they'll buy them out there and then they'll send them here. And they'll keep them in areas, keep them heavily watered, looking nice. So you pick one of those up, you take it home and you put it in the ground and it just, boom, it just croaks. Starts drooping, looks terrible. There is a specific reason for that. So because of that area that it was grown in, it's used to that. So if you start off a plant and growing it from a seed and it's inside a temperature controlled building, it's specifically 72 to 75 degrees. It's in rich fertilized soil with any type of chemicals or vitamins you can add to the soil. It makes that grow nice and lush and big, but it's like, imagine if you were fed all the amazing food you could possibly want from when you were a child, and then you get thrown out into the real world and you're just like, oh, eating Taco Bell is terrible.
But,
So.
but I thought that this kind of storage they keep them like basically the plant is like in survival, and then once you introduce it to like the best the best conditions, they just kind of like die basically.
So like the opposite, terrible and
Yeah,
to the best?
there's just even like indoor household plants, like they keep them like in bad conditions, and once you get them home and you give them like the best that you can, they usually like die off. It'll be like cactuses or orchid plants or things like that. I mean that's fine.
I've worked at this nursery basically my whole career as far as dealing with plants. We've never done it that way. I'm actually gonna explain the process, and it's kind of the opposite. Other nurseries may have different procedures they like to do, but in my experience, if you want to sell the plant, you want that to look as best as possible, because I wouldn't want to buy a plant that looks like it's gonna die. But that could be, there may be nurseries that actually do have that process.
Yeah, like the big
Mhm.
so those.
Yeah.
I mean that was my experience. Like,
Okay.
Those stores have them in like bad conditions, but when you take them home and then you actually like give them the best conditions you can.
It might just be that they're not doing a great job.
I guess, like, they just, I don't know,
But-
it's kind of weird, cause like they won't grow, but they'll stay in that same condition.
Almost
And
like
then
a dormancy.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
once you like take them home, you actually give them like the best conditions you can. They just kind of, I guess, give up, I don't know.
No, there may be some plants actually, I say there are plants that, do that where they stay dormant and once you take them out, put them in better, they can survive in a dormancy, and then when you take them and do your project work or whatever type of growth you'd like to do, they'll bounce back. There are types of plants that do that. Not in particular things like, specifically what I'm about to show as far as desert plants. So these two, I have here two natives that do grow out here in the area. This is a desert guacamole, and this is a California buckwheat. So the process that we do when we grow these guys, so we start them off like any other normal nursery. We start off with seeds or cuttings, put them in a cell, raise them up, transplant them into 1 gallon sized pots. But after they get big enough to go into a 1 gallon pot, we go through a process of what I like to call the gauntlet. And what we do is, once they're big enough to fit in these pots, we take them outside into this desert environment where it's hot, get up to almost 110 degrees on the hottest points of the sun. Or even during the winter time where it gets down to freezing temperatures, and they're also sitting in the wind that we always get out here. And we force these guys to toughen up, used to the environment, used to the natural soil, used to what this actual environment is. So then once we make these available to the public, then you pick these up, you take them home, you put them in the ground, they won't die off because they're used to our environment. So that's one of the processes that we need to make sure that these things survive out here. The other thing also is specifically, all our plants are drought tolerant, which means desert specific plants. So you can go to Lowe's or Home Depot and pick up things like ferns and beautiful plants. You put that in the ground out here, it's not gonna make it. Wrong type of soil, wrong type of temperatures. Even our water has such a high calcium count in it that it can kind of mess with the internal components of the roots. So that's some of the things that we're actually what we completely focus on. Is our plants are meant to be put in the ground out here. And we grow them out here specifically so that there's less of an impact when you put them in the ground.
So ones that you've got, like you're out on the west side, your place is out on 90th West, is it?
Oh, it's on Avenue Line just past 90th West.
And so there are things that will grow on the west side that we try to bring here on the east side.
Yes.
And it won't. But so will that type of thing, even those type of things you got there, would they make it here on the east side of it?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. You know,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about, there are certain types of plants on there, out your direction, that they will not, in this direction, they will not.
Elevation is a big factor in that.
Right.
The soil components out here aren't that much different than it is out where we are.
Yeah.
And temperature is just.
Yeah, temperature's
about
about
set, yeah.
It just seems like there is something different with maybe the soil or like you say, maybe elevations.
Elevation, I would say, is normally the main issue, because if you're a little bit higher, you're gonna get colder faster.
Yeah.
And it'll go into shock a little bit sooner than normal.
Okay.
But I wouldn't, just off the top of my head, I'd have to look through every single plant there at our nursery. But I would say the majority of what we have there will grow out here.
Got it, okay.
So any questions on plant growing, planting, anything like that?
Is there any some like native plants that grow?
Yes, on our website, which.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay. There we go. I was gonna go over this next, but on our website, which will be on the bottom of this page here, cdrcd.org, we have a complete list of all the plants that are in our inventory and what will grow in our coverage area. Yeah, would you like, I can hand them out to everyone if you like, or if you wanna pick them up.
Well, here, if you wanna do more, I can take.
That's not.
So you do your.
Yeah. So what this is, one of the programs we offer through our nursery is a lawn rebate program. This lawn rebate program, we are offering $2.50 per square foot of lawn removed. This program.
See what else we have.
So $2.50 per square foot, we will pay you to remove the grass. Certainly. There are a few stipulations to it though. So first thing is that there is a minimum amount of 500 square feet to be removed in order to be considered for it. The other thing is it is specifically for homeowners. We can't do it for things like businesses. I've had a lot of calls about that, but unfortunately it's strictly homes only. The other thing is that if at the end of it, however long it takes for you to remove the grass, it can take up to 4 months for that check to reach you. So it's not like if you finish it, I'm gonna walk up to your front door and go, here's your check 2 days later. So it may take up to 4 months to get that check. We also, besides the $2.50 per square foot, depending on the amount that's actually removed, you also get free plants from our nursery to put in the area after you remove the grass. So it is the amount of plants that you get, it's basically a money amount. You get almost, it's basically like a gift card. So you get the check, and then you also get a form that says you're approved for up to X amount of dollars to spend at our nursery, and you just get those plants and take it home with you and put it in here. There are also on our website landscape designs with irrigation and plants that are specific to our desert, as I went over with our nursery. If you decide to use a landscaper to help you remove that grass, there is an assistance rebate, so it's $300 upon completion of the project. So if you pay a landscaper to remove it for you, you will get an additional $300 added to that check. One of the things I like to say to everyone before you actually fill out the application, which is on our website, right there, that website at the bottom of the page, I would like to suggest that you actually give me a call at this phone number down here beforehand, because one of the things we cannot do, so if there is another lawn rebate program that's being covered through a water district area, in your area, I believe, LA Waterworks, is it Waterworks? Yes. You have your own, they have their own, are you?
I'm the public works.
Okay, yeah, you have your own loan rebate program.
Yes.
So if someone calls and they say, oh, I wanna check this out, you know, I go onto a little program I have on my computer and I type in the address. And if it falls under their jurisdiction, you're paying to their water district, we are not allowed to come in and say, okay, yeah, we'll do your lawn. We can't step on their toes. So I'll give you their contact information so that you can get started with them, but we won't be able to go any further than that. So I just have to make sure that you don't fall underneath someone else's competing lawn rebate program. Once we do,
I'm just saying.
oh, it looks like you were about to ask.
No, we started in the way.
Okay, I'll wrap it up.
And got 20.
No problem. I'll wrap it up. So give me a call so I can check the address beforehand to make sure you don't fall underneath that. After that, we'll get you set up on the website to download that app, and you can start filling it out, and we'll start the process. Any quick questions? I actually have something I have to go to too, so if you have any questions, otherwise, if you have anything that pops up later, I have my cards right here.
Are you gonna read me those words?
Sure, you can have them. That's what we're gonna take. And then I'll keep this stack up here for you guys to grab some more if you like. Feel free to call or email me. My information is on there, and thank you very much.
Appreciate it, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see.
Thank you.
So, at this time, we'll bring forward Teresa Quarry. She's the outreach specialist manager at the CSUN Family Focused Resource Center.
Hi, Teresa's out. She's in Chatsworth, so she wasn't able to come. So my name is Nicsa. I'm working at the CSUN Family Focused Resource Center. We have 4 offices. One is in Antelope Valley, We are inside the regional center in Lancaster. So what we do is we connect families, children with disabilities with the resources they need, like for education, advocacy, like conservatorship, anything that they need help with. We have 4 offices in Northridge, and Seaside campus, and Chatsworth, Santa Clarita here and here in AUB. And everyone who works in a family-focused resource center either has a relative or, as for me, I have a family. My son has autism, so he has special needs. And all of our services are free, no cost. We are supported by College of Education of CSUN, and we are funded by the regional center as well, California Department of Education and California Department of Developmental Services. So we offer we have a community navigators program. This program is we have people who would help you guys. Anyone know you guys apply with IHSS, SSI, CalFresh Medical, and Regional Center Services. I know these services are, you can do them by yourself, like just by yourself, but I really recommend having someone like who's expert with it, because if you do one wrong thing, you either get denied or you get less hours, you get less benefits. So it's best that it's free, so might as well have them help you. So we have that, it's called Community Navigators Program. We also host resource fairs, we host early start and all ages play dates. We have support groups that meets hybrid. We have them fully online. We have some who meets fully in person. We have Black African American, Mamas Latinas, Filipino support group, Armenian, Farsi. We have parents of adult consumers of the regional center. We have multiple support groups if you need anyone, just to relate to, just to vent out, share experiences with. We have those groups. We also have ongoing webinars and workshops regarding IHSS assessments, appeals, medical, IEP essentials, different things that could help you and your child or any family member who has disabilities and are going through, because it's hard to navigate when sometimes you don't know what they have unless they offer it to you. But some of these agencies, they won't offer it to you. You have to ask for it. So we connect you with those resources. And we also have pre-recorded workshops and webinars on YouTube. And if you have any questions, you can call us anytime. We're open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30, or you can drop by in the office. We're inside the regional center. If you know anyone, a family member, a friend, church member, anyone who could use the support. It doesn't, sometimes Sam's families, they don't know that there's help available for individuals with disabilities. Or sometimes some families, they don't like the label, they don't like the diagnosis, but it's really different. My son, he's only 5, but he's had support since he was a child, so you can't even tell because he had early intervention. Sometimes there's behaviors of the autism that shows, but the early intervention helps a lot. We also have consumers who are 20 years old and they never had any support, but they could have free support, anything like diapers, they could have caregiver hours, respite hours, they could get funded with social recreation. My son has 5, so he has swimming, jiu-jitsu, horseback riding, all funded by the regional center. And some of the families, they don't know that. So if you know anyone, they don't have to be diagnosed. If they think they might have something like a delay or a disability, they could be assessed and they could get all the support that they need. It's from birth to forever. Yeah. So it's really I know we're far, but we try. We attended the carnival that you had last time. We try to mean, we could have our office here too in the area. But yeah, if you know anyone, if you need any help, especially with IEP, school special education services, we can help you with that. 'Cause I have my card there, and yeah, that's it. It's very light. You don't have to debate about anything, but it's free. It's no cost at all. So if you need anything, just let us know. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Right now, we're gonna kind of bring up, I wanna go out of order just for a minute for Yasina Martinez, the recitals. She has a point she did for Lake Los Angeles, and I would just like everyone to hear it before everybody, I just like, this little guy just threw me up a gang sign. I gotta go see what this is about. Little bad kids. Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you guys for having me. And this poem, I made it during this competition, not knowing if I was gonna win. Thankfully, I won, and my poem is titled "Lake Los Angeles, Upon the Middle of Nowhere." My parents said there was a lake in the name, agua, olas, arcos, a place to cool off. But there wasn't a lake, just dust, desert wind, miles of open space. I missed the noise, the green, the place I came from, San Fernando, where family was always close, where distance never felt like distance, where the valley held me on. Primos and tias have been part of my world, where everything was just around the corner, when 5 minutes felt far, when mornings could linger just a little longer before rushing out the door. A place to cool off, maybe, but I stayed hidden in the noise behind the lo vi and smiles that didn't see all of me. Everything here felt too quiet, too empty, too different to me. The kind of quiet that rings in your ears, where the sun stares you down all day, but the cold still manages to find you. And the wind doesn't just blow, it scrapes against your skin, carrying sand that's in your eye open. I used to wonder why they called it Lake Los Angeles. Now I think maybe the lake was never meant to hold water, but people like me learning to stay, to breathe. The sunset spread like paint across the sky. The Joshua tree stand like dancers frozen in time, and at night the stars don't hide. And that concludes my poem. This poem had 2 versions of it, and right now I did read the shorter version. But thank you for hearing me.
Thank you for that. Okay. Yeah, that was very nice. Thank you. Okay, at this time, Megan Robbins, Lake LA Library Manager? Yes.
Hi. Hello, my name is Megan. From Los Angeles Library. We have a lot of things going on in the summer. Summer's our busy time, and we're so happy. Let's talk about Take a Stand Against Hate, which is a partnership with LA County Library. Currently, we do have these signs. This is a little tiny version of it. One side is in English, the other side is in Spanish. We're giving those away for free. So if you wanna decorate your yard with that, you're welcome to. There is a QR code on it to report things that you see. If you see something, say something. You can also call 211, which I know we've talked about, about the catch-all for the county. And there is also laversushate.org. the Summer Discovery Program. So this is an activity map. This is a little trifold thing. Formerly, we used to call it Summer Reading, but now it's Summer Discovery. And so you open this up and you can list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books or activities or a mixture of the two. What are the activities, you may ask? Some recommended activities are reading a book in your pajamas. You can listen to an audiobook. You can attend a library program. We have so many in the summer. I'll get to that. Visit a state park. There are a lot of different things here. And 2 ways to play. You can come into the library and you can get one of these activity maps, or you can play online. lacountylibrary.org/summer-discovery. Yeah, okay. And it's basically reading for prizes. All ages, little bitty babies through the oldest adult that you know. Everybody can earn prizes. The kids, we have little goodies in a basket, little, squishy things, little fans, all sorts of things. The adults, I have totes. Some are LA County Library branded. I do have 2 that were generously donated by the Friends of the Library that have a picture of Lake Los Angeles Library on it. So those are adult prizes. And there are also county-wide incentives, so adults that participate, you're entered to win, I think it's a Kindle Fire device, and we have a handful of those that go each summer. And there are Raging Water tickets, so it's a family 4-pack. I think each library gets like 4 sets of those. So kids, teens, adults that participate will be entered in that raffle. Another thing that we're doing is lunch at the library, which actually started today. Today was our very first day serving lunches for the season. It runs June 15th through August 7th. We serve lunches Monday through Friday, noon until 1 for ages 0 to 18. You do have to be a child to participate, and you do have to eat in the library. But we serve you a free lunch, and it's like a picnic, and we're very fortunate to get to do that. Maybe the last thing I want to talk about is STAR tutoring. Yeah, STAR tutoring. So we're getting ready to start our summer session tomorrow. I think the 16th is when we're starting that up again. June 16th through August 6th. You do have to register. There's a little QR code. You can do that through our website as well. This program is for grades 1 through 6. It is live in-person tutoring, so the student comes to the library and they sit in a small group setting. Sometimes it's 1 kid, sometimes it's as many as 3. But it's reading help and it's math help, and so far it's been well received. The librarian is not going to be tutoring. We actually partner with a company called Student Nest that provides the tutors. Okay, I'm just about done. So many things are happening in the summer, so many different programs, so I'm gonna be quick and just highlight a couple of my favorites. Next week, Thursday the 25th, for teens, we are going to have a drone flight school. We're going to set up a cage in the library, and kids are going to get to fly drones through an obstacle course. You do have to register for that event because it's limited space, limited resources, but I do have a wait list if it's already full. So I encourage you to try, because it's going to be so fun. Wednesday, this week, the 17th, we're gonna have a toddler create and explore, which is always a good time to see the little ones playing. And for adults, at the end of the month, Tuesday the 30th, we are going to have the fishbowl game. I'm not gonna give you too much information about that, but our game nights Cause Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, the 17th, is also a game night, and that's different. We can do Monopoly, we can play Uno, whatever the group feels like. But the fishbowl game is gonna be a little bit different, and it's always an opportunity to socialize and hang out at the library. Thank you.
No, at this time, Charles Boswick, do you have anything from Captain Supervisor, Captain Barnard's office? Do you have anything?
I'll just say that our landfill vouchers, the last couple of weeks of them for this fiscal year are still available at our office. We give out 2 vouchers that will each pay for a half ton of dumping at either landfill. They're available to any household or any property owner in Lake Los Angeles. You just have to bring in proof that what your name is and where you live or what property you own. You could come in tomorrow, get 2 vouchers, use them Saturday. Hopefully July 1 will start up the next year's worth, and so you can come back in on July 1st or July 2nd and get 2 more vouchers and get rid of another 2 half-ton loads of trash.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, at this time, Josephine Gutierrez from LA County Public Works.
Just one quick announcement. The Lake LA Phase 4 pavement preservation is anticipated to start middle of July and be completed by August 3rd. And that's basically the area bounded by Field Spring Street to the west, and let me see, Coolwater Avenue to the north, High Acres Avenue to the south, and 169th Street east to the east side, so that area. I'll send you a flyer probably in the next couple of days as far as the work and so forth.
Also, what did you
Yes.
go to do the format?
We did get the, Public Works is applying for, grant funding to do the Lake LA pedestrian improvement project. What that is basically, to do some improved pedestrian safety and mobility in schools. Like we're adding some, let me see, school crossings, like the bulb outs, pedestrian activated warning signs, making continental crosswalks, ADA compliant curb ramps, and those driver feedback signs to let you know how fast you're going. And a short area to pave the shoulders for, bike path on 170th Street East between Avenue P and PA. So, thank you for the letter of support. We also got a letter of support from Bolsona School District. We're still waiting to hear back from Lake LA Elementary School, so hopefully we'll get that also. But the applications are due on Monday, but unfortunately it takes a while for, I guess they have to review throughout, so we won't know the results until next year. But so that's basically it, unless somebody has questions for me.
Now stand right there, we got something for you. In the interest of time, we just have to, close it out here. But, we do the member of the month, we chose you this month, Mike's getting ready to give you a little award. And then Megan, you never got your paperwork.
Thank you,
Thank you so much for all you do. Okay, so do you have anything, Stormy?
Really fast. Don't get no. Basically, the big thing that's happening for the Friends of the Library is this. We're gonna have a month long in July, $2 a bag that you can take, all you can shove into the bag from the, Friends of the Library shelves and DVD? Yeah, everything in there. So $2 a bag, and the library is going to provide the bag. So all you have to do is come in and fill it all up and walk out with it. That's it. I'm gonna put these up here because I finally learned how to do ChatGPT.
All right, Mary, do you have anything for us?
June 20th is, Juneteenth is on the 20th, Robinson Park from 10 to 5. And, people also need to know that the, pool is open at Everett Martin Pool, and take advantage of the wonderful things the county has. I'd still love to go see that floating land they have going on in Castaic. That sounds fabulous. It's an enormous floating park that people can participate in. And, we get a lot of calls on the splash pad. There's an amazing splash pad at Pear Blossom Park. So you're not only here, this is a fabulous park, but there are other fabulous parks in the west, on the east side that people need to be able to come to as well.
Sounds good. Okay, so with that being said, are there any public comments? Anybody have anything? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, one.
Hi, my name's Doug, I'm a field representative for Assembly Member Concrete. I'll make it quick. We are having a backpack giveaway and a resource fair. It's gonna be hosted at the Alpine Grade. I have items here for the details, so I'll just pass them out so I can make it quick. Thank you.
And here are the informational packages and cards that everyone left. This sometime here.
Here's here.
There's an additional, FAQ for the SEA program there.
It's behind it. Yeah, so, yeah, okay, so, if that's all, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?